without knowing what is in the book of the dead. The deceased will never go to the afterlife. The most important thing for the ancient Egyptian is the afterlife.
And so when documents were being written concerning the nature and substance of the afterlife, since these things were not originally written in the Bible, the ancient Egyptians sort of filled in the blanks.
Ancient Egypt is famous for its impressive pyramids, detailed hieroglyphs, and rich mythology. But it's easy to overlook the strange customs and rituals that might seem grim to us today. From scarification to mummification, the daily life of ancient Egyptians was both intriguing and eerie. In this video, we'll uncover 9 of the most bizarre practices that were normal in ancient Egypt and explain their cultural significance. Incestuous marriages, especially between pharaohs and their siblings, were a significant part of ancient Egyptian society. This practice might seem very odd to us today, but back then, it was crucial to their social, political, and religious life. Why did they find it acceptable? To understand, we need to look at their culture and beliefs. Pharaohs were seen as divine beings, believed to be descended from the gods. Their primary job was to maintain the world's order, a concept known as ma'at. Marrying siblings, who were also considered divine, helped keep their bloodline pure and ensured their children would inherit this divine status. Politically, these marriages helped strengthen alliances and prevented power struggles, maintaining a stable and centralized power structure. Moreover, many Egyptian myths featured divine sibling couples like Isis and Osiris, central figures in their religion. By mimicking these relationships, pharaohs reinforced their godlike status and bolstered their authority. The cultural norms and beliefs of ancient Egypt played a big role in justifying these marriages, which, despite seeming strange to us, made perfect sense in their context. In ancient Egypt, pharaohs, regardless of their gender, wore false beards made of metal. Ever wonder why they did this? It wasn't just for show. These beards symbolized their divine status and connection to the god Osiris. Osiris, the god of the afterlife, was often depicted with a distinctive beard, and pharaohs adopted this look to emphasize their own divine authority and immortality. Imagine Queen Hatshepsut, one of the few female pharaohs, donning a metal beard. Why would a powerful woman like her adopt such a traditionally masculine symbol? It was about more than gender. It was about legitimacy and divine right. By wearing the false beard, she visually aligned herself with Osiris, reinforcing her position as not just a ruler, but a godlike figure with a mandate to rule from the heavens. It sent a clear message. Her authority was as strong and unassailable as that of any male pharaoh. These false beards were made of materials like gold and silver, further emphasizing the pharaoh's connection to the divine. They were tied on with ribbons and worn during significant ceremonies and public appearances. Can you picture the scene? A grand procession, the pharaoh at its center, the sun glinting off their metallic beard. It wasn't just an accessory, it was a statement, a visual declaration of their God-given power and their role as a bridge between the mortal world and the divine. This tradition highlighted the Egyptians' deep belief in the interconnectedness of their rulers with the gods, and the importance of symbols in conveying powerful messages. In ancient Egypt, mourning rituals often featured professional mourners who would publicly weep and wail to express the family's grief and pay respect to the deceased. These mourners, typically women, were hired to amplify the emotional atmosphere of funerals. Their loud and dramatic displays of sorrow were meant to ensure the deceased's proper transition to the afterlife and to show the gods the depth of loss experienced by those left behind. This tradition might remind one of the intense displays of public emotion seen in North Korea, where orchestrated public weeping is common, especially during events such as the death of a leader. Just as ancient Egyptians had professional mourners to enhance the mourning process, North Koreans often participate in highly visible, organized displays of grief. In both cases, the public nature of the weeping serves a purpose beyond the expression of personal sorrow. It reinforces social norms and reflects the collective values of the society. While the ancient Egyptian mourners were primarily focused on honoring the dead and ensuring a smooth journey to the afterlife, North Korean public weeping often underscores loyalty to the regime and the deep personal connection expected between citizens and their leaders. In both cultures, these exaggerated displays of emotion are not just about mourning. They also serve to strengthen communal bonds and affirm the societal structure, whether it's through demonstrating reverence for the gods or loyalty to a ruling dynasty. Mummification was a crucial aspect of ancient Egyptian burial practices, rooted in their beliefs about the afterlife. The Egyptians thought that preserving the body was essential for the deceased to live on in the afterlife. This preservation process began with the removal of internal organs, which were prone to decay. The liver, lungs, stomach, and intestines were taken out and often placed in canopic jars, each protected by a different deity. The brain, considered less important, was usually discarded. Once the organs were removed, the body was dried out using natron, a natural salt mixture that helped to desiccate the flesh and inhibit decomposition. This step was vital in ensuring the body remained intact for eternity. The drying process could take up to 40 days. After drying, the body was carefully wrapped in linen bandages, sometimes with amulets placed between the layers to provide protection and blessings in the afterlife. The wrapping itself was a meticulous process, involving hundreds of yards of linen and taking up to 2 weeks to complete. An interesting exception in the organ removal process was the heart, which was typically left inside the body. The Egyptians believed the heart was the seat of intelligence, emotion, and memory, essentially the core of a person's being. In the afterlife, the heart would be weighed against the feather of Mayat, the goddess of truth and justice, to determine the worthiness of the deceased. Therefore, preserving the heart was crucial for the deceased to prove their purity and righteousness in the afterlife. This belief underscores the importance of the heart in their spiritual and moral system, reflecting its central role in both life and death. In ancient Egyptian culture, animals were seen as embodiments of the divine, representing various gods and goddesses in the pantheon. This belief stemmed from the Egyptians' close observation of the natural world and the behaviors of animals, which they interpreted as signs of divine presence and power. For example, the ibis was associated with Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing, while the falcon was linked to Horus, the sky god. These animals were not only respected but often depicted in religious art and texts, emphasizing their sacred status. Cats held a special place in Egyptian society and religion. They were revered as manifestations of Bastet, the goddess of home, fertility, and protection. Bastet was often depicted as a lioness or as a woman with the head of a lioness or domestic cat. Cats were considered protectors of the home, particularly for their role in controlling vermin, which had both practical and symbolic importance. The killing of a cat, even accidentally, was met with severe punishment, reflecting the high regard in which these animals were held. This reverence extended to their treatment in death, where cats were often mummified and buried with their owners to ensure companionship in the afterlife. The practice of mummifying animals wasn't limited to cats. Various animals, including dogs, birds, and even crocodiles, were mummified and offered to the gods or buried with humans. These animal mummies served as votive offerings, meant to honor the gods and secure favor or protection. The discovery of large animal necropolises, such as the catacombs at Saqqara, highlights the scale of this practice and its importance in Egyptian religious life. This veneration of animals underscores the interconnectedness of the natural and divine worlds in ancient Egyptian belief, where animals played a crucial role in bridging the human and the sacred. In ancient Egypt, making offerings to deities was a central aspect of religious practice. Egyptians believed that by providing food, drink, and incense to their gods and goddesses, they could secure divine favor and blessings. These offerings were presented in temples, where priests would perform elaborate rituals to present them. The offerings included bread, beer, fruits, vegetables, meat, and various types of incense, each chosen for its symbolic significance and perceived appeal to the deities. The act of giving offerings wasn't just about feeding the gods, but was also seen as a way to maintain ma'at, the concept of cosmic order and balance. By ensuring the gods were well cared for, the Egyptians believed they were upholding the balance of the universe, which in turn would bring prosperity, health, and protection to the people and the land. This reciprocal relationship between the gods and humans was a fundamental aspect of Egyptian religion, with offerings serving as a tangible expression of devotion and reverence. Temples played a crucial role in this process, acting as the earthly homes of the gods. They were meticulously maintained and staffed by priests who performed daily rituals to present the offerings. These rituals often involved elaborate ceremonies, including hymns, prayers, and the burning of incense, which was thought to carry the prayers of the people to the gods. Offerings were not only made during regular temple services, but also during festivals and special occasions, ensuring a continuous bond between the divine and the mortal realms. This practice of making offerings underscored the Egyptians' deep-seated belief in the importance of nurturing and maintaining their relationship with the gods. The ancient Egyptians believed dreams were more than just nighttime musings. They were messages straight from the gods. How else could one explain those vivid, often bizarre images that flashed through the mind while asleep? They thought dreams held divine guidance or warnings, waiting to be interpreted. This belief was so ingrained that professional dream interpreters, known as seishat, had a revered place in society. These interpreters were like the therapists of their time, but with a direct line to the divine. Think about it. Ever had a dream so strange you couldn't shake it? The Egyptians had a solution for that. They compiled dream books, a sort of ancient dream dictionary, filled with common dream scenarios and their meanings. An entry might explain that dreaming of a snake could be a sign of transformation, while a dream about losing teeth might indicate a fear of loss. These books were as crucial as any sacred text, helping people decode what the gods were trying to tell them. Imagine an Egyptian farmer dreaming of a river overflowing its banks. Was it a sign of impending disaster or a bountiful harvest? Without a dream interpreter, he'd be left scratching his head. But with a seishat and a dream book, he could understand that the gods might be warning him to prepare for the flood season. This practice of dream interpretation wasn't just superstition. It was a practical tool for navigating life's uncertainties. The Egyptians' approach to dreams shows us just how much they valued the wisdom and foresight they believed the gods shared with them during those hours of slumber. The notion of a Pharaoh's Curse sprouted from ancient Egyptian beliefs that the deceased and their possessions needed protection from tomb robbers. They took this seriously, often going to great lengths to ensure their tombs remained undisturbed. Tombs were filled with intricate traps to catch or harm intruders. For instance, some tombs had false doors, hidden pits, and cleverly concealed passages to mislead thieves and keep the resting place secure. But the Egyptians didn't stop at physical traps. They believed in the power of words and magic, inscribing curses on the walls of tombs to scare off any would-be robbers. These spells invoked the wrath of gods and promised dire consequences for anyone who dared to break in. A famous example is the curse found in the tomb of the pharaoh Tutankhamun. The inscription supposedly read, "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king." While many think this is just a myth, the sudden deaths of some people involved in the tomb's excavation fueled the legend. So why did these curses hold such sway? Imagine being a tomb robber, creeping into a dark, claustrophobic tunnel, only to come face to face with a warning from the gods. The fear of supernatural retribution was real and powerful, even more so than any physical trap. The idea of a curse added a psychological barrier, deterring many from desecrating the sacred burial sites. While modern science dismisses these as mere coincidences, the Pharaoh's Curse continues to capture our imagination, highlighting the enduring legacy of ancient Egyptian culture and their ingenious methods of safeguarding the afterlife. Scarab beetles held significant symbolic value in ancient Egyptian culture and were frequently featured in jewelry and amulets. These beetles were associated with the sun god Ra, who was believed to roll the sun across the sky each day, mirroring the beetle's habit of rolling a ball of dung. This imagery made the scarab a powerful symbol of rebirth, regeneration, and transformation. By embodying the daily cycle of the sun's renewal, scarabs came to represent the idea of continuous growth and change, which was a central theme in Egyptian belief systems. In addition to their solar associations, scarab beetles were linked to the concept of eternal life and the afterlife. Egyptians believed that the scarab's regenerative qualities could ensure the safe passage of the deceased to the afterlife and support their rebirth in the next world. Scarab amulets were often placed within tombs and wrapped within the linen bandages of mummies. These amulets were thought to provide protection, ward off evil, and invoke the regenerative powers of Ra, thereby guaranteeing the deceased's safe journey and continuous existence in the afterlife. The use of scarab symbols in both everyday life and burial practices underscored their importance in Egyptian culture. Scarab jewelry was worn for its protective and transformative properties, while scarab amulets served as essential components of funerary rites. This widespread use highlights the scarab's role as a potent emblem of transformation and renewal in both the earthly and spiritual realms. The enduring popularity of the scarab symbol reflects the deep-seated belief in the cycles of life, death, and rebirth that was central to ancient Egyptian spirituality and cosmology. In conclusion, we've journeyed through some of the strangest practices of ancient Egypt, from the pharaohs' false beards and their divine connections to the intriguing rituals of dream interpretation and the legendary Pharaohs' Curse. These unique traditions reveal a culture deeply intertwined with symbolism, spirituality, and a touch of mystery. Thank you for watching and diving into the bizarre and fascinating practices of ancient Egypt with us. We hope you found these insights as captivating as we did. Stay curious and join us next time for more intriguing explorations into history's most unusual customs.